The New York Times Magazine investigative journalist Nikole Hannah-Jones. Monica Schipper, Getty Images. Nikole Hannah-Jones has become one of the most recognizable journalists in the country. The New York Times Magazine investigative reporter won a Pulitzer in 2020 for her magnum opus The 1619 Project, which reframed the American story in the context of slavery's ramifications and the ongoing contributions of Black Americans in shaping the nation. The groundbreaking piece was celebrated and led to a deal with Lionsgate, The Times and Oprah Winfrey to produce a plethora of projects based on 1619, including an upcoming Hulu docuseries. The latest installment is the anthology book The 1619 Project, A New Origin Story, published in November. It also sparked a reactionary movement to ban literature that examines history and society through a racial lens, evidence of its influence, as is the response from Americans who have embraced its revelatory power. Hannah-Jones, who last summer joined Howard University as Knight Chair in Race and Journalism and to found its Center for Journalism and Democracy, is receiving the Social Justice Impact Award at this year's NAACP Image Awards. Airing Feb. 26 on BET. What are some of the biggest impacts people have shared with you as a result of reading the 1619 Project? Black schoolchildren have shared that it has given them a sense of pride, that they finally see themselves as actors in the American story. I have heard from countless readers who said it changed the way they see their country. That they realized how much they never knew, how much they were never taught in that country makes more sense after having read it. Then, clearly, there's the impact that it has on a lot of conservative politicians who are very upset and trying to ban it from being taught to schoolchildren. What are opponents of critical race theory misunderstanding or misrepresenting about the concept? What conservatives are doing is using critical race theory as buzzwords of a propaganda campaign. These anti-CRT laws are anti-history laws. They're memory laws. The fact that any of us outside of academia or outside of those whose work centers on race are talking about it speaks to the success of that campaign. Critical race theory is about trying to understand why, 60 years outside of the civil rights movement, Black Americans still fall at the bottom of every indicator of well-being in our society. It has nothing to do with making white children feel like victims. It's actually not concerned with individuals. It's about systems. I don't think the question can even be asked, what are conservatives getting wrong? They're intentionally being misleading. There's nothing recognizable to critical race theory the way that they're describing it or using it in laws that are seeking to ban it. In your speech at THR's Women in Entertainment event in December, you referenced sounding the alarm about the dangerous moment that we are all in. What can the media and entertainment industries do to respond to the censorship attempted in classrooms? 1. Stop legitimizing it. If you look at the coverage, it was taking what Republicans were saying at face value, which is not what reporters should do. Reporters should be skeptical. This was a political strategy with a propaganda strategy and should have been covered as such. Frankly, a lot of journalists in free speech groups were silent last year because they were only seeking to ban the 1619 Project. I said then that it was never going to stop at just the 1619 Project. So now, of course, we have the sweeping bans that are trying to ban texts that deal truthfully with the history of race and racism, that feature queer characters, that talk about the Holocaust in ways that some people don't like. This was very predictable. We have been treating politicians using the power of the state to prohibit the teaching of ideas the same as some high school teacher who does a bad racism lesson, and we legitimized what's happening. We're just at the beginning. You only have to look at what Governor Ron DeSantis is trying to do in Florida with his bill, which has gone from being about K-12 to now telling private businesses what types of training they can have. That is going to affect all of us. It is a sign of a deeply unhealthy country. When state legislatures start banning ideas, and that's where we are right now. Interview edited for length and clarity.